Hey everybody! Lava, water, infinite cobblestone, bonsai pots, and more. That's what we've got ahead on today's episode of SkyFactory 4. Hey everybody, Luke here, and welcome back to another SkyFactory 4 video on Channel Endgame. So we're on the dawn of a new day. So this is day 2, or episode 2 more specifically. We've actually probably had a few days since then. So between last episode and now, I've actually gotten a bit busy and done some tree farming in the meantime, just to get us a bit set up for some of the tasks ahead today. So we've grown a whole bunch of petrified trees, a whole bunch of the dirt trees, and gathered quite a few resources. And I've done a bit of base sort of re-layouting. So configured a bit more space for us. I've put the drying racks up in the corner here so they're out of the way. Of course, everything's really well lit so we can cut down on the risk of mobs spawning. And I've made a simple chest, obviously vanilla Minecraft skills, you should know how to do that, and chucked a bunch of gear in there. So to save our inventory and our hotbar filling up, because it will quite quickly once we get tree farming. You'll see we've actually got a few cobblestone that we've put together. I've crafted a bunch of dirt blocks, and of course we started to gather quite a bit of wood and quite a bit of the different tree resources. So at the end of last episode, we'd just gotten our clay saplings and gotten our clay trees going. So I've grown quite a few of those now. We've got a bunch of the clay resin and a bunch of the clay acorns, which is great because we're going to need quite a bit of that today. I've actually got quite a bit of the petrified acorns and petrified resin too, and I've crafted a number of cobblestone blocks, which we're also going to be using today. So we'll go through quite a bit of cobblestone, we'll go through quite a bit of clay. Now, the big goal for today that we're going to set ourselves, jumping into the logbook of advancements again. So we've got a few more trees to sort of get going on. So we're going to be getting started on bone saplings and gravel saplings very, very soon. But we're going to hit that point where generating resources in a more automated fashion is going to be what we really want. So there's 2 ways in the early part of the game that we can really help with that. And the first method is crafting a cobblestone generator. So cobblestone, if we continue on the way that we're going, is actually going to be quite time consuming to create, because every time we want cobblestone, we're going to have to keep growing petrified trees and, basically farm them for all the sap and the acorns, and, repeating that's going to be a little bit tiresome before too long. Now, if we jump into JEI and do a bit of a search for cobblestone generator, you'll see there's actually a recipe for a very simple one, which we can actually get to without too much effort. So cobblestone gen. Now, this is it here. It actually goes up in different tiers as we sort of work our way through the game. Each tier of cobblestone generator generates cobblestone a bit quicker than the last one. Now, for this point of the game, it really doesn't matter. We just need it to generate cobblestone out of nothing. That's pretty much the prime concern. When it comes to speed later, we can actually use the cobblestone generator to generate cobblestone, which powers various different devices. A little bit more important when it goes quickly then, but for now, basic cobblestone generator is definitely all we need. So to get a cobblestone generator, the recipe here you can see is we actually need 6 pieces of cobblestone, which is easy, we've got that now. We will also need a glass block, doesn't matter what color it is, just a glass block. So to get that, we're gonna have to get some sand. And we also need a bucket full of water and a bucket full of lava. Now, it actually was raining a very short time ago, and if we had been ahead of the game, we could have actually created a cauldron and gathered some rainwater in it to make water. And it's very, very easy to set up an infinite water source once we've got a little bit of water going. But we haven't got that, so we're going to do it the old-fashioned way, which is actually not that tough either. So now the other big goal today is we're also going to work our way towards bonsai pot farming of trees. So doing this whole tree farming where we use a block of dirt and we plant saplings in and we twerk to sort of get them growing, that's fine. And it is actually a very, very good way of gathering tree resources, and probably a little bit quicker than some of the alternatives because of the amount that you get. But we can't keep doing that all the time because we've got building to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to craft ourselves some bonsai pots for our trees. So again, jumping into the crafting menu, let's do a search for bonsai. Now the bonsai pots are, where are they? Bonsai, that's the one we want. So bonsai pots. Now these are really, really simple. You actually craft them using 5 clay bricks, which now that we've got our clay trees, we can quite easily do that. And that creates a bonsai pot. Now, when you actually have a bonsai pot, you can actually put compatible soil and saplings in there and it will automatically grow the trees without the need to throw bone meal on it, without the need to twerk next to it. And it'll continually keep doing that as long as you keep farming the contents. Now, later on down the track, we're actually going to be able to, through the prestige system, get some of those, perpetuating bonsai pots that actually keep hopping themselves, so we can actually have a chest underneath them, and that'll drop the contents, into the chest essentially. But for now, we're going to be doing it the old-fashioned way, which is still a lot quicker than growing trees in dirt. So, now last episode we also just created a crushing tub. Now, as it turns out, we're going to need 2 of those. So, as a bit of a recap, this is how you create a crushing tub. So, again, search for crushing, and we'll see the recipe for the crushing tub appears in JEI. We only need 3 of the slabs, the wooden slabs, and 2 of the wooden planks. We have that in our inventory already, so let's just grab that and create another crushing tub. I'm just going to put the 2 next to each other because we're going to be crushing a couple of different materials, and depending on what you're crushing, they actually create different outputs, whether it be sap or water or later on even blood. So it gets a little bit creepy, but that's all we need for now. To create water is really simple, so we're just going to get some dirt saplings. And we can create, let's just do 1 lot of water for now, because otherwise we're going to run out of room. So just as a bit of a demonstration, I've got 4 dirt saplings. We're going to chuck those in the crushing tub. And to operate it, it's exactly what it seems like. You just have to jump up and down on it and crush it like you would at a vineyard when you're smashing grapes into wine. So we jump up and down, and you'll see we're actually creating water in the crushing tub. So crushing the saplings actually crushes all of the moisture out of them, and we get a tub full of water. And once we've crafted ourselves a bucket, we can actually take the water out of that and put it in the bucket. So that is one of the materials that we need for that cobblestone generator. All right, so how do we get a bucket? Now, as it happens, we can have a clay bucket. There is a recipe for a clay bucket, and now that we have clay saplings, we can create that. So, to make a clay bucket, we actually need to create an unfired clay bucket, which we then chuck into the furnace and it fires it and hardens it, and then we have our clay bucket. So to do that, we need some clay. Very, very simple. We will grab some of those acorns and resin that we had before. And the recipe for blocks of clay is very similar to what we did with cobblestone a moment ago in the last episode. So we have 4 clay acorns and 5 pieces of clay resin, and that creates a block of clay. So let's just rinse and repeat that. We're going to pretty much use all of our clay acorns and resin because we're going to need quite a bit of clay, as it turns out. This is something we're going to use a heap of, especially when we get into making the bonsai pots. We're going to need stacks of it. So, all right, we've got 12 blocks of clay, which should be enough for now. And we're going to want some clay pieces, which we can actually use to make that bucket. So, with these little clay pieces, we go bang, 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 and there's our unfired clay bucket. There we go. We've made an advancement, slop in the bucket as well. So there we go. That's given us our new clay bucket, which we are then going to have to fire in the furnace. So let's chuck some fuel in again. Just wood will do. We're going to grab our unfired clay bucket. We're going to stick that in. And while that is cooking, we're going to have a chat about what else we need to do to set up this infinite water supply. So once we've actually got our bucket and we can take the water out of those crushing tubs, we're going to need a place to put the water that we're generating so that it'll continually flow and give us an uninterrupted supply. So we don't really need too much space for that, but I'm going to just build out a little bit here so that we can give ourselves some room. So let's make this platform just a little bit bigger. There we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And okay, now what we're actually going to want is for that space in between to be open, because this is what we're going to put our water in. So I'm only going to leave 3 blocks worth of space because we can put a water source block on either side and that'll refill the center really, really easily. Okay, so we've got our buckets full of water. Now, to get our bucket full of lava, it's a little bit trickier. What we're actually going to need to do is to create a cauldron. Now, creating lava only takes cobblestone and a heat source, which you can actually use in a cauldron to cook the lava out of the cobblestone. Now, the trick with that is, of course, we're standing on a platform made of wood. So we want to be really, really careful with lava, because if we drop it in the wrong spot, everything's going to go up in flames and we're going to be dead. So let's create a cauldron that's not made of wood. So as it turns out, creating a cauldron is actually one of our advancements as well. So craft any cauldron to catch rainwater, lava, dye items, and there's a bunch of other things you can do in there. So despite the fact that the image shows a wooden cauldron, we're going to create a cobblestone one because fortunately we have enough cobblestone to do that. I've got 22 cobblestone at the moment. And if we do a quick search for cauldron, we'll see that one of the recipes is a cobblestone cauldron, which requires 7 of those cobblestone blocks. So let's grab that, put it onto our crafting grid. Let's grab the cobblestone cauldron, and that's there, ready to go. Now, I'm going to put this a little bit further out to the side so it's not in the way of anything. So let's give ourselves a bit more space. Let's just chuck a few more platforms down, and that should be about enough. We're not going to need a huge amount of space, but we are going to continue to expand this platform as we go. All right, so now we're going to chuck a cauldron down, but what we also need under the cauldron is a heat source. So a torch is actually good enough. Other heat sources are, probably better, but a torch will still do the job for us. So let's just get rid of one of these blocks. And we need to lay a torch down on the side of that block there, but because that's actually a half slab, we can't do that just yet. So I'm just going to grab some water. We're going to chuck some water in there. That's going to enable me to drop down and place an extra half slab. Actually, let's just put a few down. There we go. And that way we can, whoops. Oh no! Well, there's a good lesson to you what not to do. Make sure if you're riding the water down, you do it safely. All right, so fortunately, when I landed on the platform from respawning at the top and flying back down again, I actually landed in the water that I was attempting to create. So no damage done whatsoever. Don't try that yourself though, probably good to avoid. All right, so we don't want the water in there, so let's get it out. Let's grab that, chuck it back in here. All right, so we've got this little pit here, a little fire pit. So we're gonna chuck a torch down, and that is going to provide the warmth, the heat for our cobblestone cauldron. So let's chuck the cauldron down. Just gonna put a block of dirt to the side just so we can get that spaced where we want. So there we go, and let's put the cauldron down next to it there. Okay, great. So that is our cauldron. It has a torch underneath, so we know it's receiving heat. Now we can actually put cobblestone in that cauldron to create lava. It takes 4 blocks of cobblestone in a cauldron that's receiving heat to create lava, and it's as simple as just chucking it in 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a full bucket's worth. Okay, so that's our lava. We've got our lava, we've got our water, we've got 1 bucket, we've got enough cobblestone. We just need to create a second bucket, so we're going to need a little bit more of that clay. So let's just grab that. We're going to create another unfired bucket. We're going to chuck that in to fire up, and then we should be able to create that cobblestone generator pretty quickly. So we're going to need 1 bucket with water. We're going to need 1 bucket with lava. Grab that, fill that with lava, and we've just made another advancement. And if we go onto the crafting grid, we'll once again be able to go back to the recipe for cobblestone generator. There it is. And we have 1, 2, 3. The glass. The glass is what we're missing. Okay. So for the final piece of the puzzle, we need to start making some sand trees, some sand saplings. Okay. So let's go and look that up on JEI as well. So go back to saplings and we'll see sand saplings. Now to create a sand sapling, there's only one option here from the basic crafting options, and it requires a petrified sapling, which we have, and a bunch of sand acorns. How are we going to get a sand acorn if we can't actually create a sand tree? Fortunately, there's a way to get sand acorns without actually needing the tree first. So if we click on sand acorn, we'll see that you can actually create them in the crushing tub using gravel acorns. So as it happens, gravel acorns and a gravel sapling are also on our to-do list today. So we need to create a gravel tree first. So again, let's have a look at that. So we want gravel saplings. To create a gravel sapling, we need a petrified sapling, check, and we need gravel acorns. Again, how do we get gravel acorns? We click on gravel acorns, and we can see that in the crushing tub, we can create gravel acorns from petrified acorns. That we have. So let's grab a bunch of those petrified acorns that we have already, and we're going to create some gravel acorns. Now we only need 8 of them to surround the petrified acorn, so let's just use 8 of those. So 8, there we go. Chuck all 8 acorns into that tub. Well, make sure we don't leave them there. There we go. Let's grab those dirt saplings while we're at it. We don't need those anymore. And jump up and down on them. So, now you have to be careful they don't fling out too far, because if they fly off the edge of the platform, then we're going to lose the acorns that we're trying to crush. But we should seem to be okay there. Okay, we have 8 gravel acorns. Fantastic. So with that combined with a petrified sapling, grab a couple of those, we can now on the crafting grid create that gravel tree. Or gravel sapling, I should say. So there we go, and there we go. We have a gravel sapling. Fantastic. So rinse and repeat. Once again, we chuck the gravel sapling in, we do the twerking, and we'll come back in a few moments with some of those gravel tree resources. All right, we're back, and a few gravel trees later, we have the resources we need to continue. So I've got a bunch of the gravel acorns now, and similar to what we just did before, we're going to need 8 of those to create the sand acorns that we need. So let's chuck 8 of those into a crushing tub. Now, both of these crushing tubs have actually got stuff in them now. So we've got a little bit of sap in one, and a little bit of water in the other one. Now, the easiest way to clear them is just literally to chop them up, pick them up, chuck them down again, and they'll be empty for you. So let's put those acorns in the tub and let's jump to it. So get enough sand acorns. Oh no, we lost a few. Okay. So again, be careful not to lose them off the side like I just did. It means I'm going to have to chuck another 3 in there. Thankfully, we have enough. So let's grab another. Well, actually, I only need 2. So let's put 2 in there. And jump, jump. And there's the 8 that we need. Okay. So let's grab that petrified sapling. Let's grab those sand acorns, put them around, and there is our sand sapling. So we've made the advancement. Palm trees. We've got the palm trees going. So palm trees create a sand sapling. The only one we're missing now is the bone sapling. Now that one's actually quite easy too, and we'll do that just before we do our cobblestone generator. So to get a bone sapling, let's have a look. So under saplings, we can see, where are we? Bone sapling. So bone saplings, to create that, we need, again, a petrified sapling and a bunch of bone meal. Now, bone meal, as it turns out, is actually quite easy to get if we have dirt blocks, because we can grab a dirt block, put it in a crushing tub, and we get bone meal out of it. So let's do that. Let's just quickly do that before we jump onto the next bit. So again, let's just clear that crushing tub, grab it, chuck it back down. Let's grab some dirt blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dirt blocks. Put those in there, and let's get some bone meal out of those. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A little bit more if you drop them off the edge like I did again. So 1 more. There we go, dirt, and bone sapling. All right, so we've got the bone meal, we've got the petrified sapling in the chest. Grab 1 more of those, and here we go. Petrified sapling, bone meal. We have ourselves a bone sapling. So that's 3 new saplings, 3 new trees, 3 new types of resources that we've done today already. So we're looking pretty good. We've finished off the first complete section of the advancements log, and we've got our bucket, we've got our cauldron, we've got our lava. Let's actually get going on our cobblestone generator. So let's see, we have to get ourselves a block of glass. So planting a sand sapling and getting some sand out of it is going to be the way to go. So again, it'll take a few minutes to get some sand acorns and sand resin. So we'll be right back, and I'll have that ready to go. All right, so a few sand trees later, and there we have it. We've got a bunch of the sand saplings, we've got a bunch of the sand resin, and we've got a bunch of the sand acorns. That is enough for us to craft some sand, which we can put into the furnace and get ourselves our glass. Now, just before we do that, one thing that we neglected to chuck into the furnace is actually to put some clay in there and start making the clay bricks for our next objective. So let's just get some clay going. And we've got 10 pieces there, which is going to be enough for 2 of the bonsai trays. So let's chuck that in there and we'll get those bricks going. So, all right. In the meantime, we need to create ourselves some sand blocks. So it's very, very similar to the recipes we've used before. So in order to make sand, one of the methods you can use is using the sand acorns and the sand resin. So we've got plenty of it there, so let's just grab 1 block of sand. We probably won't need any more for now, but we will need some sand a little bit later on. A single block of sand will create that single block of glass that we need for our cobblestone generator. So again, we're just going to need to use the furnace for that. So Let's just take a pause from our clay for a second. We're going to put our block of sand in there to create a single block of glass. And we've got all of the other pieces we need. So we've got our cobblestone, which we need only 6 of for this recipe. We've got our bucket of water. We've got our bucket of lava. And we have now our glass block. So cobblestone generator time. Glass block. Water. Lava. Cobblestone. Cobblestone. Cobblestone generator. Fantastic. Now things will really speed up from this point because cobblestone being generated essentially on tap for us means that we've got an infinite building material which we can now use to fill out our platform to a much larger size. It's something that's resistant to fire as well, so that'll allow us to actually build without fear of things catching on fire from anything in the game or any mistakes that we happen to make. Yeah, once we put a chest on top of it as well, we can just start to fill it up. And as it happens, one of the advancements is actually based around that. So you can see here, cobble, craft or create a cobblestone generator and fill all of the slots of a vanilla chest. So if we put a chest on top of the cobblestone generator, it'll gradually fill up. So let's do that. Now this cobblestone generator, where do we want this thing to live? Probably makes sense to put it over near the water and the lava at the moment. So I think I'm gonna chuck it right here, just for now. We can move that around later on. We're going to put a chest on top of it, so let's just craft a few chests. Now, there's a really cool recipe in SkyFactory where you don't actually need to use the wood planks. You can use the full wood blocks, and that actually creates 4 times as many chests at once, which is a bit of a time saver, which is great. So we have a chest. We're going to chuck that on top, and as you see, the chest is now slowly starting to fill up with cobblestone. Fantastic. So that's eliminated all of the time and effort from actually having to go through the petrified resin and the petrified acorns to create cobble. Now we can just open the chest and we'll have a stack of it ready to go at any one time. And once that chest completely fills up, then we're going to have that advancement as well. So now that we're creating a whole bunch of cobblestone, one thing that we can do, which is on our advancement tree, is actually create that stone crook. And we can start to create a whole bunch of different stone tools. So let's just create the crook for now. And the recipe for that is exactly the same as it was with the wooden crook. Oh, hang on, or is it? No, it's not. So I think we might actually need proper stone for this. So let's do a bit of a check. So crook, we have the stone crook, and we need stone rods. And to create a stone rod, we need to put 2 cobblestone together. So that's actually quite easy. So we'll go cobble, cobble, stone rods, and there we go. There is our stone crook. Another advancement down. We're making some really good progress today. All right, so we have our cobblestone generator. That's one of our big objectives for today done. Now, we need to create our bonsai pots, and we're pretty much good. So we've got 10 of those clay bricks now, and we only need 5 for each of the bonsai pots. So let's just create 2 of them, and I can show you how this works. So we have 2 bonsai pots. Fantastic. Achievement knocked off. We've created the bonsai pots. And now we can actually start a different method of grabbing those trees. So I'm going to use chest under these just so I can actually store the contents in the chests once I harvest them from the pots. But later on, the chests underneath them will actually come in quite handy when we get the self-hopping bonsai pots because they'll hop down into the chest. So let's chuck 1 chest down, let's chuck another chest down, and we will put the pods on top of that. So 1, 2, and you don't have to worry about the chest not opening with something sitting on top of it because of course it still will. So that'll open just fine. Now, in order to actually start getting those bonsais working, we need to fill them with dirt or some other material. You can actually put grass blocks in there when you get them. You can put in special types of dirt like slime dirt, which is used to create certain types of slime trees. But for now, we're just going to use basic dirt. So 1 block in each is enough. And then we can put in the saplings of our choice. Now, because I'm going to be creating a whole bunch more of these bonsai pots, I think that it's probably going to make sense to put clay saplings in one of them. And let's choose one of our others that we've just created for the other. So let's go with bone sapling for the second one. We're going to use quite a bit of bone as time goes on. So let's actually use that as well. So we've got a clay sapling and a bone sapling. So we'll put the clay in that one. We'll put the bone in that one. And you can see if we watch, these are now growing automatically. There's no need to twerk next to them. There's no need to throw bone meal on. You can actually see the sapling is growing before your eyes on top of the pot. So when that gets to a fully mature state, you actually need an axe, and you can use a right click with your axe to harvest the contents. And then what I'm going to be doing just to keep everything organized is just to put the contents inside the chest that corresponds to the contents of the pot that's on top of it. So there you go. We have 95, 96, 97, that one is done. So we use right click with the axe. If you right click again before the tree starts growing again, you'll actually pull the dirt off. So if you ever need to swap the pots over and have different contents growing in them, double click and you'll get everything. But we've got pretty much the contents of that bonsai pot. Now you can see, if we were to look up in JEI how you actually sort of use saplings to grow contents, let's actually look at the sand saplings. So ways to get sand, let's see. Acorns. All right, so looking at the output of a sand bonsai tree, you can see depending on the type of contents in the block, the drop chance and the grow time actually changes accordingly. But this is the output. So we actually have wood, we have sticks, we have the acorns, we have the resin. We actually get leaves as an output on a lot of these pots as well. And we have a very, very small chance of a sapling. That's very, very different to when we do the old-fashioned method of growing the sapling from a dirt block and harvesting it manually. If we do it this way, we're going to get very, very few saplings. They will drop occasionally over time, but I mean, it's always going to be quicker to do the manual method anyway. If you want to get acorns, you want to get resin, doing it manually is a much, much faster way to do it, but there's no reason why you can't do both. If there's a particular resource like sand that you all of a sudden need a bunch of, why don't you just chuck a couple in the bonsai pots and chuck a couple in the dirt blocks, and you can do it all at once, and you'll get it a lot quicker that way. But that's it. So we've made some pretty good progress today. We've filled out a bunch more advancements on our logs. We've got the stone crook, we've got the cobblestone generator, the lava, water and lava now, and we've got our pods going. So next episode, we're going to be jumping into some more of the other saplings. We're going to start working on cottonwood, create ourselves a bed, and we're going to start getting into some of the metal saplings. So that's all for now. So if you enjoyed this episode, I hope you did. Please make sure you hit a like down the bottom and leave a comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so you actually know when new episodes are dropping. You'll get a notification every time a new one goes up. So putting these out at a pretty regular clip at the moment. I hope you come back and check out the next one. But until then, make sure you look at all of our content over at the home site, which is at channelendgame.com. And we'll see you again for the next episode real soon. My name's Luke. Keep mining. We'll see you soon.